Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ace Attorney Investigations 2 Prosecutor's Gambit, where we are about to cross-examine our friend Gusto, whose name is Gusto, right? I don't know. Oh, it's been a week. It has been a week all. I know that's typically the refrain around here, but it has been. All right. So my entry for the final. Ross and I were working together right up through the semifinal. I handled the flavor, he did the designing. I wanted to face Tangaroa in the final on my own. No help, just me and my skills. So I helped Frost with this entry, but mine I did alone. Didn't taste good in the final, that's on me. What can I say? I lacked training. And that's all there is to it. Happy now?
There don't seem to be any obvious contradictions in his testimony.
Yep, not that I thought it'd be easy to get anything real out of him. He's managed to not let slip what really happened for 18 years after all. Why don't you try pushing him a bit, Mouserino? See if you can't shake something loose.
I think I just may have to, Fender.
Alright. That makes sense.
Frost is in charge of designing the work you both submitted while you handled the taste.
Yeah, he was a sculptor, craftsman. In a sense, the design was second to none. But he was clueless about confectionery, which is where I came in. We each did what the other couldn't.
Meh, boy, did you not have an eye for aesthetics. Not even for the simple stuff.
Yo, that's it. That's it. Get under his skin. Ooh! How do you like me now? That was not at all what I was expecting.
The national symbol is Jingfa.
Oh yeah, it's a phoenix. That's awesome!
Now I'll say, pretty different than the stuff you were pumping out 18 years ago.
Oh, here we go. Behold the fruits of my training. I dedicated my whole life to my craft. But back then we both needed each other's help, so we joined hands until the final. I mean, that's a thing, like, all of this is believable.
You were serious about winning the title then.
Oop, I didn't mean to do that. Of course, the art of confectionery is my life. Why wouldn't I have wanted to be crowned the greatest? But I still had a lot to learn back then. Guess it's no surprise my work wasn't up to scratch.
But the title wasn't the only thing you wanted. There was a cookbook too. And you wanted the book even more than you wanted the title, isn't that right, Mr. Gusto?
Overruled.
Mr. Edgeworth, you are badgering the witness who is still suffering the effects of today's attack. Oh, come on! I cannot allow this harassment to continue.
No, I understand, Your Honor, but...
Ignore him, Mr. Gusto. You need not answer that vile prosecutor's question. What? But please, do continue your testimony in your own time.
Hold it!
So you're saying Mr. Frost didn't help you at all? But he'd helped you up until then, correct? It's a bit strange for him to stop so late in the contest, no?
Strange or not, it's the truth. Could be he had his reasons too. I wouldn't know.
If he's lying, it's gonna be a headache to prove. 18 years is a long time. Not unless that gizmo of yours has a built-in lie detector, Kay.
If it did, I'd have stolen the show for Mr. Edgeworth long before now.
Don't worry, Fender, I can tell when he's lying. No doohickeys assistance required. Please, Mr. Gusto, continue your testimony.
Hold it!
Yet I heard that your creations prior to the final were scored highly for their flavor. So what went wrong? Was there some kind of cooking accident on that day?
No, nothing like that. Notice, I told you I had a taste disorder. And since the taste failed me, it's as simple as that. No, because he had his son with him then, but wasn't around the day of the final. I remember that much. So his son was probably doing the taste testing, right?
But Mr. Frost entry was complimented on its flavor. Your sense of taste hadn't failed you then. Did something happen overnight?
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna spill any more beans, Mr. Edgeworth. Perhaps I should ask him about something else. Ask about the semifinal. Ask about Mr. Frost or stay the course. I don't want to stay the course because it's probably just going to lead me around in a circle. Let's ask about the semifinal.
Did something change between the semifinal and the final, Mr. Gusto?
It did. We know it.
Not really. The only difference between the semifinal and the final was that Frost wasn't helping me.
Hold it!
So you really completed your final entry without Mr. Frost's help?
I believe it.
I mean, I've had his designs to lean on, but I knew I was still solid when it came to flavor. So the visuals were the only thing that changed between the semifinal and the final.
But that's not true.
You sure, Gusty, old pal? I'm gonna have to call you out on that one, I'm afraid. It wasn't just its looks that got a big thumbs down come judgment time. It got trashed on its flavor, too.
That is how much like a winner to me. Despite his confidence, Mr. Gusto failed on flavor, too. The lack of Mr. Frost's assistance shouldn't have affected that, so was there some other difference? Yeah, an 18-year-old mystery, and the key to unraveling it is finally within my grasp. I just need to remember everything Fender told me about what he and my father discovered. Hold on. I didn't... Was it Frost wasn't helping me? Alright, I gotta present something here. What do I got? Interwing photo, blowtorch, luminous cloth. None of this helps. Finger marks. Salt lamp. What did it say about... I found one of creations. Peer review medication. Convicted as an accomplice. No detail Polygon missing. Polyleak. No. No. What is this? Daily up through the semifinal. Up through the semifinal.
I can think of one significant difference between the semifinal and the final, Mr. Gusto. Your son, this is him in the photograph, correct? You told me he was here with you up through the semifinal.
He was? What of it?
So something else changed.
What indeed, he was here with you until that semifinal, until he suddenly wasn't for the final. And just as suddenly your work went from being lauded for its flavor to being lambasted for it. I don't think that's a coincidence, do you?
Yeah, we got him.
He wasn't just spending quality time with his father, he was playing a much more pivotal role than that.
Yep.
I just wanted him to see me hard at work, show him I was trying my best for us. Who knows, maybe it was him being here that helped me do so well in those early rounds.
He talks a good game, but nothing about this guy screams super dad to me.
Do you think maybe we would only have to give such an idea credence if his story were true? After all, how much could the encouragement of one small boy affect the taste of a grown man's work?
Mr. Gusto prided himself on his flavor of his creations, but then he lost his sense of taste. He must have had a tough time maintaining his high standards after such a devastating loss, unless...
I'm sure your son was here to cheer you on, but that wasn't all he was here to do, was it?
You're a very suspicious man, Mr. Prosecutor. You want to try answering yourself for a change. What was the elementary school kid doing here other than to support his father?
Taste your creations.
Your son knew the taste of your work pretty well, I imagine, Mr. Gusto.
He's my biggest fan, of course he knew it.
In which case, he would have been a good judge of whether something tasted on brand, so to speak, no?
What are you implying?
You've already told us that you were suffering from a taste disorder.
Alright, I remember at least this much. You're good, never told anybody this, but you figured it all out. True, 18 years ago, I developed Quasia.
And no one knew about your condition. Indeed, I doubt Mr. Frost would have wanted to continue collaborating you had he found out. After all, it was your job to make sure his creations tasted good. Therefore, your son wasn't just here to support you. He was helping you by taste testing your work.
Dang, now it all makes sense. Frost stuff tasted good because it really was finished the day before when the kid was still here. a vivid imagination, Mr. Prosecutor. But do you seriously think I'd trust a kid to tell me how to adjust the taste of my masterpiece? I have some pride, you know, even back then.
Did you now?
My designs may not have been much to write home about back then, but I always knew my work tasted better than anybody else's. I think I'd risk everything by putting my reputation in the hands of a child. This is just more speculation, that's all it is.
In that case, I ask you to speak with your son in this instant. Let's see how much of your story he can corroborate.
Sadly for you, my son is no longer my concern.
Wait, what?
What?
As soon as I got my sense of taste back, I went straight to Xingfa to start my training and cut off all ties with the kid for good.
Wow. You suck. What?
You abandoned your own child.
And that ain't the half of it. No one knows where he is, even now. Cops have looked all over for him, but no dice. So, still think you can prove your asinine theory? Like to see you try. You think I care about anything besides confectionery? Think again. Got my sense of taste back. What need do I have first?
That's horrible. Oh, can we just find him guilty now and call it a day? I don't know that I've disliked a person that we've cross-examined more. Silence in the courtroom. While Mr. Custer's words and actions may demonstrate a certain lack of humanity. That's putting it mildly. He just abandoned his son, like, no big deal. Guys of justice cannot judge him for that. That is true, probably. Therefore, Mr. Edgeworth, I believe it is time for you to admit defeat.
Yeah, give it up. 18 years is a long time for anything to surface now. Proof or otherwise.
Mr. Edgeworth, we have to do something. If we don't, the truth might be lost forever.
Where are you, Detective Gumshoe?
Whose blood it could possibly be, but I'll get it tested right away, sir. Please do, Detective. That's the last piece of the puzzle, I'm sure of it. Once we know whose blood it is.
Hey, Miles, sorry to cut in on your mind palace time, but I was pondering something myself. Our friend Gusto didn't come here just to check up on the body, did he?
You mean because he tried to open the case?
Exactamundo. Think we might have anything that might explain why he tried to do that?
Then we might if Detective Gumshoe can make it back in time with a certain piece of evidence.
That's quite enough idle chatter, defense. Now, if you... Mr. Edgeworth, sir, sorry to keep you waiting. There we go.
Speak of the devil.
Gumshoe, you're timely. Also, thanks, Larry, for sitting there sketching.
I take it you have the test results, Detective.
How did you get there? Or was he in that room the whole time? Yes, sir, the lab just got back to me. Detective, please, court is in session. Now then, am I right to assume that you are bringing us the evidence Mr. Edgeworth was just speaking of? What? Hey, no fair! Why didn't anybody tell me about any of this?
It is indeed the evidence in question, Your Honor. It needed testing, so I asked him to carry it out.
What the? Why is everybody always helping you? Because I'm 60% less jerk than you. I'm supposed to be the one in charge here.
Mr. Winner, I'm sorry I didn't involve you, but this is important. Can we at least hear what the detective has to say?
Well, alright.
So, Detective Gumshoe, what did the test have to tell us?
You're not gonna believe this, but the owner of the blood we found in the liquid at the bottom of the Gemini case is Carmelo Gusto, the victim of the poison gas attack.
What are you talking about?
No, thank you, Detective. You've been very helpful. Well, looks like my suspicions were correct.
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, what do you mean? Explain yourself. What is the significance of this blood to this case?
It's only the very thing the perpetrator of the IS-7 incident has been trying to hide all these years. The fact that your blood was found inside the Gemini case, Mr. Gusto, is as good as us finding your blood lying right next to Mr. Frost's body.
Yeah. Why would there be traces of your blood there, of all places, Mr. Gusto? Why indeed.
If you won't answer Her Honor, Mr. Gusto, then I will. There wasn't just blood in the liquid from the Gemini case. There were traces of salt and sugar, too.
There were?
If you remember, one particular part of Mr. Frost's work was allegedly very salty indeed.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about what Delicia told us back then, right? What was it again?
Hey, I never tried ices so scrumptious in all my life. Really, man, I wish I could have had a bite. Well, scrumptious except for the salty bit, of course. That was unbearable. The salty bit? It's in the other photo you've got there. This bit, the harpy thing. You mean the harp? Gemini's lyre.
Yes, the lyre, and only the lyre tasted as if it had been flavored with salt. There were no traces of salt anywhere else in Mr. Frost's entry.
Very interesting. Then perhaps you can tell us, Mr. Edgeworth. Where did the salt and lyre come from? Beg pardon? Alright, stop enjoying the music. And focus. Focus, I can do this. I swear, I either completely, I don't want to say ignore, but like, it's just am oblivious to the music, or I am just entranced. And to the point it becomes a distraction. Oh, wait, hold up. The firearm weapon from, oh! Yeah, it's a salt lamp stained with Frost's blood. Well, that would do that, wouldn't it? This is the lamp from the IS-7 incident.
Indeed, and I believe that the salt that gave the lyre its flavor came from just such a lamp. Mr. Von Karma had established that both salt lamps were used in Mr. Tangora's room at the time of the crime. One of them was used to kill Mr. Frost. It was stained with his blood. But no corresponding pool of blood was found in Mr. Tangora's room.
Right, because the culprit had chucked the piece of chocolate with that on it into the little stream.
Furthermore, aside from the lyre, no traces of salt were found anywhere else in Mr. Frost's room either.
Hey, come to think of it, the lamps we found in Delicia's room were both broken.
Lamps appear to be broken. Bulbs are smashed, both of them. Maybe they fell and broke on the floor?
Yeah, we never did figure out how the one that wasn't used to kill Frost got busted, but are we thinking maybe it had Gusto's blood on it at some point?
Anyone whose blood was found on one of the lamps would have been a person of interest to the police. So the killer needed to hide the blood somehow, and in a way that wouldn't arouse suspicion.
You're seriously suggesting that the lyre was used to do just that?
I am. I suspect that the bloody salt was somehow applied to the lyre so that it could be hidden inside the case. Because unlike the fountain water, the sculptures would have needed more time and care to test properly. And so he waited and waited for his chance to dispose of the lyre undetected.
Then the reason he's here today is...
18 years ago, Mr. Frost's body and the evidence pointing to his killer were taken away together. This, of course, was not part of the perpetrator's plan, and thus a new dilemma arose. How could he be sure that neither Mr. Frost's body nor the evidence wouldn't be discovered someday?
So back he comes 18 years later, sneaking in bright and early to try and cover his tracks.
Yeah, there we go. Got him.
Well, Mr. Gusto, are you finally ready to admit it? That you are the one responsible for the IS-7 incident.
Mr. Gusto, it's all because of you that Samson...
Yeah.
That's not a good reaction.
Gusto. I finally got caught, huh? All these years later.
Wait.
Nobody came close back then. Not even that big shot prosecutor or the attorney. That's some impressive work, Mr. Prosecutor. I have to hand it to you.
You admit it then that you murdered Artie Frost.
Yeah, sure I do. I did it. I killed him. But he only had himself to blame.
What do you mean by that?
He agreed to help me. We're supposed to help each other so that one of us could win. And whoever won was supposed to let the other use the cookbook. But on the day of the final, the rat finally showed his true colors. Oh. So you made the thing for him, but then he wouldn't help you in return. Seriously, Frost, we had a deal. Sorry, I'm not helping you in the final. Our little agreement is over, Gusto. But I helped you. I spent all day yesterday making the ice for your pieces. Did you? And you can prove that, I suppose. What do you... Wait. You were planning to betray me right from the start, weren't you? After Frost double crossed me, I had to make my piece for the final by myself. Like you said, my son wasn't there, so I didn't have any help with the flavor either.
So much for the pride you claim to have in your ability to make delicious desserts.
Go ahead and judge. You have no idea what it was like for someone like me to lose my sense of taste. You have everything to become the best. Everything. I take pride in that. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't, though. Just if I can throw that out there. Something someone like you could never understand.
You're right, I don't understand. Do you take pride in the fact that you resorted to murder? Or that you abandoned your son? Why would I want to understand someone who could do such things?
Man, I can't afford to rely on other people. I learned that the hard way 18 years ago. I mean, I feel bad for him that he got betrayed, but man, everything else about him sucks. My son never showed up on the day of the final. Oh, wait. Well, so did he ever find his son after the final then, I wonder? Interesting. In hindsight, I wouldn't be surprised if Frost was the reason why. Why would you think that? What exactly happened to your son? How am I supposed to know? I told you. He's none of my concern anymore. I'm so confused about what happened to the son. According to you guys, nobody knows where he is now either. Yeah. And you don't care? You're horrible.
So with his disappearance, so too went your chances of winning, correct?
Yeah, I had to find another way of getting my hands on that book. That's when inspiration struck. I decided to skip afternoon tea and stuck into Tango Aurora's room. Should have been so easy. All I had to do was photograph the formulas I needed and get out of there. But then Frost showed up. I thought I might find you here. Stealing recipes from the famous cookbook, Tut tut tut. Frost. What's this? A cure for taste disorders. Oh no, that's just too tragic. Wow, that guy's a jerk too. A confectioner who can't taste anything. What will people say? If you tell anybody, I'll... Ugh. Oh, what? You can't even hit me, you miserable worm. Hey, you. Frost showed me hard when I went to punch him. Knocked me clean off my feet. I crashed into one of the lamps. Must have been when my blood got on it. So Mr. Frost wasn't the first to get hurt. When it was all over, I realized I had to get rid of that blood somehow. So I scraped off all the bloody bits. There's all those salt shavings and some flavored ice mixture and brushed it all over the harp. And that's how you made the evidence linking you to the murder vanish. Frost was going to blackmail me. He would have made me give him money to keep quiet about my condition.
So you decided you had to kill him.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it here. I feel like we gotta be close to the end, but it also seems like there's a lot. Like, I'm really curious what happened to the son, so hopefully we'll find out in the next episode. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.